Hi everyone, and welcome back to What's New in Creative AI. It has been a very long time.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
Sorry for the absence.
Really sorry. We have had tons of stuff going on, mainly personal life stuff. This is one of the few downsides of being married to your business partner.
When one of you has a crisis, you both have a crisis.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's okay. We're over that now.
We are. So we just had to batten down the hatches for a while and really focus on just brilliant client delivery because we didn't have any capacity for anything else. But here we are. We're back
with massive news.
Yes, we are. We're going to lead with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
great.
I mean,
that's what we put in our script.
Yeah, we put this as number one in the script because it is massive news, which is Shift, AI for agencies, how to lead your team through the biggest shift since digital, published yesterday.
It is, and you may notice our background is a bit different. We're not in our normal podcast studio. We've got some strange, not sure whether we like this art in here. Maybe not our choice, but we have decamped from Bath to London for the week for the launch of
Back in the smoke.
Shift AI for agencies.
We've been giving lots of talks. We hosted a launch event yesterday. Emma was chairing panels this morning. We're talking again tomorrow.
You did 2 things at the Future of Media yesterday.
And then a book launch.
And a masterclass.
So yeah, so it's all been going on.
Let's go. We're running on adrenaline. But we're going to keep going to record this podcast.
Yeah, and amazingly, the book is now a #1 bestseller in 7 categories on Amazon.
I know.
Yeah, it's the #1 bestseller in artificial intelligence, in marketing and sales, in computer science, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I didn't even know about. Yeah.
And it's #5 in something in the US. Can't remember
amazing.
Which.
So there you go. So grab a copy, go on to Amazon, search for Shift AI for agencies, get it now while it's hot.
Jules.
Great. I meant to tell you what's in it, I think, as well.
Okay, go.
So what is in the book? The book is basically a distillation of our AI accelerator program in a book. So rather than spend thousands and thousands of pounds, you can get it for £17.99 instead. But then you have to do all the work yourself. But it does explain all about how to build your skills in AI, how to drive adoption in your agency, how to build an AI-forward culture in your team, how to build a strategy for your business, how to think about how it's going to change the services that clients want, how to talk to those clients about it, and where the hell all this stuff might be going. So
yeah, basically it's 2 years of work with Spark AI with 60 agencies distilled into their
250 pages.
Yeah, and of course we can help you do what's in there as well. So
that's the book.
That is the book. We're very excited about it, and we really hope you find it helpful. And a part of our hope for the book is that it means we can spread what we do more widely and help more people.
Yeah, and if any of you out there are thinking of writing a book, quick tip. Writing the book, apparently, it turns out, is only 1/3 of the work. The other 2/3 of the work is all the stuff you have to do to get it out there into the world and let everybody know about it. So do not underestimate everything that happens to happen, even once you finish the manuscript.
Well, we made a bargain about this book. Jules would do the writing of it. I would do the getting it out there into the world. I thought I chose the easy bit. I
got off lightly. Yeah.
I did not.
So, okay, I won't be allowed to get away with that for the next book. Right.
Cool, let's move on to...
So, next topic.
Yeah, so we thought, so yesterday at the Future of Media, that was at King's Place, where The Guardian is, in London. Jules gave a really great talk on where he summed up sort of the big shifts in where media is going over the next 10 years with AI, of course. And we thought we'd just bring some of that to here because actually I hadn't seen that talk before because you wrote it on the plane back from Chicago last week.
Correct.
I hadn't really seen you in between then and now.
No.
It was a really good talk. So we're just going to go through some of that today because it is super valuable.
Okay, sure.
If that's all right.
Yeah. I think it's still in my head.
It probably is.
So,
so I'll just like some of the things that stood out for me, maybe if I start with there. So like you opened it by talking about the kind of very stark reality of the kind of infinite content problem you called it. It'd be great to explain a bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. So so WPP published a report on the 9th of September, so just a month ago, about advertising in 2030, where they interviewed 62 industry experts on how they saw the advertising industry and advertising in general panning out over the next 5 years. And One stat really jumped out, which was, they asked about lots of things, but one stat jumped out at me, which was 71% of their respondents thought it was either likely or very likely that the majority of content will be AI generated by 2030. And I think that's probably true as well. I would be one of those. And the thing about that is the cost of AI models is dropping precipitously. The leading models are getting 900 times cheaper every year. Exponentially faster. That means
that's hard to compute.
Yeah, that means over a 2-year period, that means the cost of the same output has dropped approximately 1 million times. So, which is really hard to get your head around, right? Like, human brains are not designed to handle numbers like that. So essentially, creating AI-generated content is going to become ridiculously cheap. And when things become ridiculously cheap, you get a lot of them. So I've actually borrowed this term from Doug Shapiro, who's a brilliant analyst over in Hollywood. And he talks about the challenge of infinite content. When brands and IP owners and individual creators can create anything at almost trivial cost, the only cost is your time, then we will be flooded with the stuff. And what happens when you're flooded with the stuff? The challenge is that human attention span remains finite. Studies show that we already spend about 12 hours a day consuming media of one sort or another. There just isn't many more hours in the day. You need to sleep for 7 or 8 of those hours, and you need to eat and probably do a bit of work and all these other things. So, more than 12 hours of content a day isn't going to happen.
No.
So what happens? So this starts to shift where the value in content comes from. A lot of brands at the moment make their money from content. If you're Disney or Pixar, or sell products and services through engaging content, through content marketing, or they're publishers. We read books, we read the newspaper. So in a world of infinite content, suddenly all of that stuff becomes valueless in a way. And actually what you have to make your money from is the things that content guides you to, the things that remain scarce.
Because, those scarce things, like, what going through my mind is like, what rises to the top then?
Yeah. So what are the things that remain scarce in a world where content is potentially infinite? Well, exclusivity. You can create scarcity by making things exclusive, have pre-release things, or have clubs and memberships that get access to exclusive.
Sorry, my computer just started beeping at us.
That's okay. You can also do it through having brilliant marketing and distribution. So we're finding already that some brands are really, really good at this stuff, navigating this very complex multi-channel marketing space, and some not so much. Then you get fans, whether they're fans of authors. Think of all those Harry Potter fans out there, fans of films. Think of all those Star Wars fans out there. Think of all sorts of public figures who have fans. People are prepared to invest a huge amount to indulge their passions and interests. So how do you tap into that? At the moment, a lot of that fandom community sits outside, sits away from the IP owner. They often don't control the fan experience, but actually, how do you monetize it as a brand yourself? And brand and IP in itself is scarce and becomes a marker of quality. So a lot of people might watch a Pixar movie simply because it's a Pixar movie. They know it's going to be good. It's a hallmark of quality. So your brand can still stand for something there. And finally, I think, real life experiences are going to become ever more important as well, because again, there is a limited supply. If we look at what's happened in the music industry over the last 10 years, Spotify has essentially given us infinite content with music. And as a result, what's happened? The price of concert tickets has gone through the roof. People were paying hundreds and hundreds of pounds to go and see the top bands today.
And this is why we're seeing many in-person experience agencies booming at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. Back when I was a student, you could see U2 for 40 quid. And now
it was probably really expensive when you were a student.
It felt like quite a lot, but now it would cost you £400 for the cheapest seats at the back. Yeah. So that's one thing I think is one of the mega trends that is going to happen and change how we consume media.
I wanted to ask you about some Netflix data as well. You mentioned some Netflix data that was really fascinating yesterday.
Yeah. So the other thing that happens in a world of kind of infinite content is how on earth do you choose what to consume? because there's an opportunity cost. You've only got your 12 hours a day. So what are you going to spend it reading or watching or engaging with? And so what happens when content is infinite is popularity becomes a marker of quality. You tend to watch what other people watch, because if they're watching it, it must be kind of good. And we're seeing that play out in Spotify and in Netflix right now. Last year, Netflix started sharing data about the popularity of their different shows. The top 1% of titles generate 27% of all of the streams on Netflix. So one 100th of the titles get a quarter of all of the viewing. And the top 10% grabs 71% of all of the viewing. So nearly 3/4 of all of the viewing time goes on the top 10% of titles.
So do you think that principle is going to be applied more widely across?
I think so. Yeah. When you're deciding what to read, what to engage, which influencers to follow, people follow influencers that are already popular. We're going to see more and more of that kind of thing.
I think it's happening already, though, isn't it?
It is.
We're just so saturated. You just I can't. There's so much to choose from here. I just need to.
So imagine
what it is.
when there's 100 times more content than there is today. It's going to be bewildering.
Yeah. Is that even possible?
We'll find out. Yeah. Check back in 2035. Yeah. Hopefully the pod will still be going.
Well, I'm not sure whether I'm hopeful about that or not. But the second shift you talked about with brand experiences, was something that we talk about quite a bit, actually, is the analogy with Amazon when it started.
Yeah.
1995?
They were founded in 1994. I think their website went live in 1995. And using the Wayback Machine, I managed to find a screenshot of the Amazon website on the 16th of January, 1996. Those of you that have been on our AI fundamentals training will have seen that screenshot. What do I mean about brand experiences are going to change? Well, if you think back to 1996, those of you that are old enough, that's the year I started work. Yes, I'm old. I remember when the web looked like Netscape Navigator. Web pages were gray with black text and a few blue hyperlinks. That's all you got. And Amazon at the time, had one of the first transactional e-commerce websites out there. They were pioneers of e-commerce. If you look at that screenshot from 1996 today, you'd be like, bloody hell, is that how we used to buy things on the internet? It looks like the kind of thing a teenager would knock up in half an hour. And if you showed it to a client today, they'd laugh at you. But back in 1996, that was state-of-the-art technology. It required clever engineers. It probably required a ton of money. And now you could produce that essentially for free, and it wouldn't be good enough. So the state-of-the-art moves on, and AI will allow the state-of-the-art in media to move on. Right now we watch TV shows, we read blog posts and books, we consume short-form content on social media. But what's all that going to look like in 10 years' time? Well, you can start to see where this is going already. So Pernod Ricard have been experimenting with Absolute Vodka. They've been tailoring campaigns using data from. They research audiences on ChatGPT, create tailored messages, pair that with individual visuals created in Midjourney, run geo-targeted activation campaigns, and they've had huge success with that. So data-driven content becomes really important. The second thing is we've seen it with Coca-Cola, those Coca-Cola ads last Christmas. Whatever you liked about them or didn't like about them, they created 110 versions of the same ad, each tailored to a different geography. We've seen it, they did it again with their snow globe campaign, where 1 million snow globes were generated by people talking to Santa on their phone, each one unique. We're seeing Hugo Boss experimenting with AI video on their e-com channels. We're not far off from sort of virtual try-ons in store and things like that. And Nike are creating like individually bespoke trainers. You can assemble all of the inspiration yourself and then 3D print a unique pair of trainers just for you. So, and that's what's happening today. Imagine where this is going to be 10 years from now. The way that we create engaging content with brands is going to be different.
Well, I think what's really interesting about those examples that you've given is that all of those are either about localization or personalization, which both those things are actually really personalization, aren't they? Localization makes it more personal. I wonder what it's going to be really interesting to see what other lenses people are going to look at making the content rise to the top.
Yeah, so I think there's
just personalization.
Yeah, so there's stuff, there's sort of what I call contextually relevant. So perhaps the content is different depending on the time of day or the geography in which you consume it. Then there's personally relevant, where it knows something about me and tailors it to my interest or my likes or my preferences in some way. Then I think we get into there's new forms of expression. So people are talking about fractal content, for example, where you consume things in different ways. You almost enter a brand world, perhaps. Imagine, Toy Story. We were talking about Pixar earlier. Imagine a Toy Story world where you go in and interact in a whole universe made up like to be part of Toy Story, for example. And I think we're going to see more and more of that kind of thing. We're going to see mixed augmented reality. Models are going to move to the edge. They're going to run on your smart glasses. They're going to run on your phone.
I mean, yesterday we were on the tube and there was, I think it was Ray-Ban ad about
Oakley.
They're really pushing their sports glasses with they're pushing it from a sports angle and how AI can improve your performance.
And the Zuck has been pushing his Meta Ray-Bans
for ages.
And and Google are teaming up with Warby Parker. So maybe glasses will be the next wearable. The idea is that they'll be able to see what you can see. They can speak to you through an earpiece, and they don't look too ridiculous. So, but yeah, we're going to start to see augmented reality. I think imagine you're walking, you're out and about, and you want to grab a coffee, and you want to know where the nearest coffee shop is. You'll be able to talk to your glasses and just go, point me to the nearest coffee shop, and you'll get some sort of augmented reality in your vision that gives you the directions to go there. So, who is paying to give you those directions? That is going to be a new form of advertising we haven't seen yet.
For sure. And I think it's similar in the way that video is going as well. Because Synthesia, I think about 3 weeks ago or so, they announced their new video agent where you interact with the video and in a similar way. And and
I think this sort of avatar technology is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger.
It really is. That isn't out yet. I think it's out later this year, but they started trading it. And I think that's really going to increase those creative possibilities to reach your audiences in different ways and different opportunities for
one example I talk about, or if you talk about a few examples of this kind of thing, what if you go into decathlon and Rafa Nadal is on the TV helping you choose your tennis racket, and you're literally having a conversation with him. He can see you, talk to you, and he's doing that in every decathlon store around the world. That kind of thing is going to be possible in the not too distant future.
Yeah, much sooner than we think, I would think. Fab. So how does that change the value of our content, do you think?
Well, I think, we're used to content being something that's created once and then consumed many times. You write a book or you make a film or an ad. You make it once and then hundreds or thousands or millions of people consume it. And I think the future, certainly in 10 years' time, will be very different to that. We're going to see, instead of creating content, people are going to be creating systems that create content.
Yes. Right? Yeah.
And the content will be generated dynamically on the fly, depending on who's consuming it. I talked before about having contextually relevant stuff. So it will, it might vary based on time of day or the weather. I don't know. All sorts of other things. What you just saw before. Then you get personally relevant, where it knows something about you and your own preferences. Then we're going to see interactive content. Put yourself in the content, or it responds to you, like the Rafa Nadal example. And then we're going to see this unconstrained content, fractalized content, where you engage with things at different levels. And I think it's going to be, there will be people who are very imaginative in the way that they can use these systems to create engaging ways for brands to reach people.
For sure. And I think, that kind of comes back to our point that we always continuously make, is that it's about creative thinking and the ideas that you come up with and how you can use these things. So it's why we love working in this space, is that understanding technology means that you can then see how that can apply creatively. We're already seeing, with generative AI, we're also seeing it in vibe coding and what have you. Technical skill of operating software is becoming less and less valuable. When a client comes to a design agency or a creative agency or an advertising agency, they're not going to care anymore that you are technically brilliant at Photoshop or After Effects, because the skill of creating these things will become reduced. What they will be coming for
is incredibly imaginative ways of engaging their customers. And that still requires brilliant creative thinking.
It does. I'm just looking at our script and our time.
Let's get on with it.
Yeah, do we want to talk about agentic buying?
We'll just zip through it. I'm going to give it 2 minutes. So
Yeah.
the third megatrend I talked about was agentic buying. So, you know, some purchases are going to remain very human-centric. Like, you're not going to let a robot buy your wedding for you. You're going to plan that yourself.
I don't know, it was quite a hassle.
Yeah, maybe we will. But just I don't know what the playlist would be like, but
well, they'll
probably
know
a lot of Daft
know
Punk.
us really well. So.
Yeah. And then secondly, you know, or a car or something, I don't know. But you know, there are some things which you're not that invested in. You know, if you need dishwasher tablets, you're probably just going to let an agent go off and buy it for you. So we're going to see, you know, personal agents and brand agents having to communicate with each other. And in fact, they've just published Ad Context Protocol, ACP, to try and facilitate this way of having a standardized way of personal agents talking to brand agents to facilitate purchases. So
that shift from human-centric kind of advertising to agent-centric purchasing, I guess, is not just a thing we've been talking about now. It's actually a thing that's happening.
It's happening, yeah. So Walmart are already revamping their website to be able to work this way. And, you know, obviously this isn't going to affect every kind of product, like we mentioned. A lot of brands and products are going to find themselves somewhere in the middle where they probably need to do a bit of both.
Yeah, sure.
And there are some, you know, commodity items that are, you know, stack them high, sell them cheap, that are going to be almost fully agentic. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
It really is. Okay, should we move on from this section?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So you ended with some very fascinating questions that there were loads of oohs and ahs in the audience, which was always good.
I thought that was just my dance moves.
Oh God, no one wants to see those.
No, nobody does. So obviously, you know, one thing we've learned, or, you know, people have learned, is that, you know, technical determinism is not a thing. Just because these things are possible doesn't mean that the world will actually play out that way. I certainly don't want to make any of those things sound like predictions. They are just speculations based on what will become possible through technology. But there are lots of things that can throw these things off. And, you know, the first one is, you know, well, how are people actually going to respond to these kinds of things? Are we going to find all of this stuff mega intrusive and use some other sort of agent to block all of this content? Are we going to
wear glasses that actually block all the AI
maybe
advertising to us? Who knows?
Now, are people going to be happy to share their data, have to have personalized AI stuff come their way? Who knows? You know, consumers are unpredictable. Like, the stuff that people consume is weird. Like, there are people that pay lots of money to watch other people play video games on Twitch. There are people who, you know, that Mr. Beast, who was a teenager in a bedroom, has become the most prolific, you know, probably the highest paid person in media in the world. And there are ASMR channels on YouTube where people just play nice soft sounds to make you feel good that have 30 million subscribers. So, you know, it's really hard to know what is actually going to...
Well, we all need a bit of soothing in the world today.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that'll be 60 million in 10 years' time.
Yeah, I think so.
So, and then there are some things which we just can't imagine how they're going to play. Oh, government regulation is another one, of course.
Yeah, who knows whether... Yeah, who knows?
At the moment,
they're quite distracted at the moment.
At the moment, it's mostly the Wild West out there.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah, we might find that government steps in, and that there will be rules that people have to abide by. And then there's stuff that you just never know. And so, you know, if imagine trying to guess how the internet was going to play out back in 1996, what would you have got right and what you'd have got wrong? You'd have got it mostly wrong, and I'm sure what I've described above will pan out to be mostly wrong. But I think it's important to ask the questions.
Yeah, it's really important to think about these things and imagine how it could pan out.
Yeah, and you know, some of the questions to ask: what happens when content is essentially going to be free? What happens when coding is essentially free, when anyone can spin up an app or a website or a piece of software to do a task? What happens when people can be in lots of places simultaneously, when avatars are common? What happens when translation disappears? Anyone can speak to anybody in any language at any time. You know, we've already seen Apple AirPods that can do real-time translation a few weeks ago. You know, what happens when agents start selling to agents and there's no human involved in transactions anymore? And what happens, I mean, the big one, of course, for society and the economy is what happens when AI employees become cheaper than human employees. I mean, who
And that's
knows?
not far off at all.
Well, yeah, and it depends what kind of tasks agents become capable of doing. Interestingly, there was a test recently done by Wharton, the team at Wharton Business School. They took 100 tasks from Fiverr, the freelancer website, and set the best Anthropic AI agent models up against them. And it was only able to complete about 3% of the jobs to a satisfactory level. So, we're still a long way off of AI agents being able to do most tasks.
We are, but yesterday at your book launch, we had a really interesting panel discussion, and one person there was Ant Hill from Google, and he was urging us all to think about our employees and what roles, and he was urging us all to think about what roles would be suitable for employees and what wouldn't, and how we would appraise their performance and that kind of thing.
Evals are going to be important.
Yep. So Google are, as you would expect.
So right, that was a bit of speculation on how AI will shape the media over the next 10 years. Let us know what you think, if that's helpful to think about that stuff, if it interesting, if it melts your brain.
And if you think of more questions we should be asking ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. What are we missing?
Yeah.
What are our unknown unknowns?
Please drop us a line. Right, should we move to something a bit more tangible right now? Get a deep breath.
Touch the grass.
Yeah,
Carry
touch
on.
the table. So last week, might have been the week, 10 days ago, I dropped a newsletter where I talked about WPP and their new launch of WPP Open Pro. If you don't subscribe to our newsletter, please do. It's called Spark Intelligence. You can find it on our website. It's free.
Link below. Will there be a link below?
I'll put a link below.
Link below.
Comes out every 2 weeks. Just tells you what you need to know in creative AI, like we do here. WPP Open Pro is really interesting because it started as their system they use internally, but they've sort of created something that is outward facing now.
So WPP, there's WPP Open, which is used internally, and now WPP Open Pro is the public access version.
That's what I was saying.
Okay, just making sure I understood.
Well, that's what I've understood from it.
Okay.
Anyone from WPP, please tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I wonder what letters they'll add to it next. WPP Open Pro
Plus. I don't know.
Probably.
Anyway, essentially, Open Pro is like a self-service platform for brands to plan, to create, and to publish their campaigns. And they can do that independently without working with WPP, I guess, for a subscription to Open Pro.
So this will be a little bit like Pencil, perhaps,
yes.
that we've seen from Brand Tech.
Yes, yeah. But I'm not sure whether Pencil's used when Jellyfish isn't working with them. With the brand. I'm not sure. That's a question we should find out. So essentially, if you subscribe to Open Pro, you don't necessarily need to have an agency on retainer to work with WPP.
So a brand could just do this in-house.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I understand that they are targeting sort of regional teams, kind of performance marketers, like small and medium businesses, so not necessarily the top tier businesses.
Not their enterprise clients.
Work with. Yeah. But also existing WPP clients as well. So maybe there's probably some like crossover on the Venn diagram where.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a behemoth like Unilever or Nestle, you're probably fully in the advertising industry thing. But maybe if you're.
But you might want some of your regional offices to ensure like brand integrity to use.
Yeah, and being able to roll out localized assets and things.
Yeah. Exactly. And so in the newsletter, I explored whether this is something we should be worried about or something we need to respond to in some way. And really, it's actually, I surmise, it's quite an exciting thing. And it's a bit of a starting gun kind of that I think for the industry. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think, is this kind of technology going to allow brands to do more in-house? I think, yes, it is, clearly. What kind of work does it allow brands to do in-house? I think it allows, if you've already got a clear brand framework, you've already got a bunch of brand assets, you've already got your target messaging and target audience planned out, then these tools help you execute those plans. Yeah.
Yes.
These tools help you, tailor your brand assets to the audience you're trying to reach and get it out there. That's great. And that is what a lot of the work of the big holdcos and their agencies is. It's helping big global brands activate their products and services in lots of different markets all around the world.
But what it doesn't do, they're kind of like interrogating a brief and challenging it and making sure it's right and all that kind of high value stuff.
And I think also, a lot of where the independent sector adds huge amounts of value is helping shape what the brand is in the first place.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, exactly.
And which audience should you really be talking to? And so I think these tools help with execution. They don't necessarily take away from agencies all of that thought leadership and what your brand could be.
But I think what it does start to say is that if we're using AI to start to compete based on speed of execution or price, you're then getting into the territory of starting to compete now with platforms like WPP Open Pro. It's not just other agencies that are starting to compete on speed. So it becomes a more challenging environment to be in.
So anyone who's heard us talk about this stuff will know, we are big believers in, efficiency is great. Is where every agency owner first goes with AI. They're like, I need to make stuff more efficient.
That's great inside the business.
But efficiency will only get you so far, because any margin, and if you start making excess margin on a job, you'll end up just handing that profit back to your client, because everybody else is going to be working that way soon too. With tools like Open that are going to come down the food chain till every brand is working that way. So where this stuff becomes important, back to what we were talking about earlier with the future of media, it's like, how do you innovate with this stuff? Brands are coming to you not because they want marketing or they want branding. They're coming to you because they want to engage their customers more closely, and they're using you to help them do that. So remember that. How does this tech allow you to create more engaging experiences for your client's client?
And how does it allow you to move upstream? Or how does it allow you to innovate with new services and do new things, rather than focusing on doing what you currently do faster or cheaper?
Exactly.
This book is pretty good with helping you with that. So I'd go to there as your first port of call, but I think
second port of call, phone us, obviously.
Obviously. But I think that launch from WPP is very symbolic of what we've been talking about for a long time.
100%. And we're seeing other platforms moving into this space as well. So Weavy, one that we build our creative program around, which are we coming up to tool updates?
I don't know if we put it on here, but just cover it now.
So Weavy is a creative platform that we're big fans of. It launched only about 4 months ago, earlier this year. We have rebuilt our whole creative program now around Weavy. It's a node-based workflow tool that allows you to link any language model, any image model, any video model, and any 3D model together to create super powerful, repeatable workflows. We think it's brilliant. It turns out Figma think it's brilliant too. And Figma, the design software giants, have bought Weavy. They're going to rebrand it Figma Weave, and they are going to invest a lot of resources in it to expand the tool, integrate it better with Figma. So we're really excited for the Weavy team. It's a brilliant win for them, and it's a brilliant win for you, because this tool, is going to get better fast. It's already brilliant. It's going to get better fast, and it's around for the long haul now. Like, it's not going to be some flash in the pan that goes bust next year. They've been bought by the second biggest creative software company in the world. So very exciting times.
Well done, Weavy.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
What else have we got?
We're just going to do a few tool updates. We've already talked about Synthesia. Is that how you say it? With their video agent. So we're
moving on.
Then Microsoft have dropped a whole load of updates. And I know you were on a call with one of our team earlier today.
That's right. So Microsoft have about every 6 months or so, they drop a big update to Copilot. They did so a week or two ago. So they're sometimes seen as a bit slower to move, perhaps than ChatGPT and Anthropic with Claude are. I think because the tool is so integrated into the Microsoft ecosystem, it probably takes them a little bit longer to plug all of this stuff in. But they have got some cool new features there in Copilot. So you now have memory across chats. You can have Copilot groups with up to 32 people sharing a conversation, sharing a chat. It's better linked in to Teams now, so that you can call it from within your Teams chat much better. And you now can put it into study mode like you can with ChatGPT. So you can use it to learn about things, not just tell you answers.
And if you're a fan of Notebook LM on Google,
Yep.
you like study mode.
Yeah, so the notebook feature is there. And then finally, it's now actually a viable choice for teams that are not in a Microsoft environment because they've released a connector to Google Drive.
Clever them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting. If I was a Google house, I probably wouldn't be thinking of Copilot still. I think ChatGPT or Gemini are probably still a better bet for you. But interesting that they've gone that way.
Yeah, it is, because all the other platforms are reaching across different as well. So yeah. And then we were just going to talk a bit about browsers, because all the different AI platforms are moving into browsers. So we've now got ChatGPT Atlas. We already have Perplexity Comet, and Microsoft Edge as well.
Yeah, they're building AI products into Microsoft Edge.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of changing it's starting to change how we'll use AI.
Yeah, I mean, what these companies are trying to do is like own your access to the digital world, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you're chat, you want, you know, if you're OpenAI, you want people to stay in chat and never leave it. So at the moment you access chat through a browser. What if chat was the browser? You know, that's what they're doing with these tools, right?
Yeah.
And that way they're going to learn a lot about you. They're going to see what you search for. They're going to see what you click on. They're going to, and so they can start to personalize their content, make them more sticky, own the relationship. And suddenly, before you know it, you're buying your products and services directly through ChatGPT. They're taking a slice of the transaction.
Probably through your glasses.
Probably through your glasses. So the browser wars are underway. If you're using an AI-enabled browser, Atlas, Comet, or Edge, let us know. We love to hear about how people are experiencing these things.
Yeah.
I have Comet and Atlas on my computer. Haven't actually used them.
Me too. I'm not using them enough. I need to.
Yeah.
It's some of these things are so habit forming, aren't they?
Yeah. There are also big security risks, so be careful.
Yes. Do you want to talk about those?
The AI trifecta of if it has access to external data, the internet, internal data, the Google Drive connector that you've connected your ChatGPT to, and some way of communication, your email account, you can connect ChatGPT or to your Gmail, or you can connect, Copilot to your Outlook, then suddenly you've set yourself up for a potentially massive security breach. Prompt injection in the content that's read off the internet, retrieves data, private data, and then is sent out through your email.
Yeah, so cybersecurity hasn't really got across this yet.
Yeah, so
be careful.
Behave with caution. Yeah.
Yes, yep. Fab. We were going to talk about Claude Skills as well, which launched a few weeks ago. If anyone likes Claude projects, which is the same as custom GPTs, kind of. They're also similar but slightly different. Claude Skills is like a way of kind of having like a blanket custom approach to things that you can call in whenever you like. Is that a good way to describe it?
Good question. To be honest, I haven't had a chance to dive into Claude Skills that much yet, so I don't know enough.
Okay. We won't talk about
Quite frankly. Okay. So we'll talk about it next time. Because I've not had a chance to dig around on this.
I like it when I catch you out.
Yeah,
and you know everything about.
Anthropic have been prepping for the book launch, but and writing presentations on planes. But so Anthropic have made a big splash about Claude Skills. People out there are pretty excited about it. I haven't had a chance to dig in myself yet. Not quite sure what we
basically you can activate it anywhere in Claude at a time when it's relevant, rather than needing to hop between different things all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll tell you more about it and perhaps do a demo next time. So we've gone kind of over time. You've got a call in about 2 minutes. So we'll just close this up.
Closing remarks.
There was something we said we were going to talk about in this bit, but I've gotten, there's loads, Adobe have done loads of stuff recently, just to say, we're not ignoring it. We've got too much to talk about this one.
Adobe Max was 2 weeks ago, tons of new features. That's next time.
Lots of exciting stuff. Yeah. Might squeeze it into the newsletter this time or next time. Let's see as well. Any final reflections, Jules?
A lot going on as ever. Tool releases left, right, and center. We're starting to see the acquisitions play out. We've talked about how the great consolidation that's probably coming with all these AI platforms, the Figma Weavy tie-up perhaps is a first indicator of that.
For sure.
OpenAI have been buying a few things as well, but sort of more behind the scenes. But that will be interesting to see.
Cool. Tomorrow we have another launch. Can you
Yes.
believe it? We've teamed up with the Industry Club, who are recruiters for agencies, and we've done some research with 150 agency leaders over the last month about the impact of AI on talent and skills, job roles, all that kind of world of stuff. It's super interesting stuff. We've done a really deep dive into it. We're launching it tomorrow.
50-page report.
Yeah, but we'll give you the summary, don't worry. And maybe we'll do that next time as well. But super interesting report.
And it
You'll
launches
hear more
tomorrow.
about it soon. We might put it out next week.
Yeah, so it'll go on
yeah.
public release next week. So it's going to a private audience, the people who contributed to the survey this week.
Yeah.
Public audience.
We're really excited about that. So look out for it as well. I'll put the link to the book in the show notes.
The book.
Thanks everyone. Thanks everyone that has bought it already and helped propel us to bestseller status in 7 categories. We'll let you know if we get any more categories. That would be amazing. So
jump on Amazon, search for Shift AI for agencies.
I think it's backwards for you, but anyway, we'll love you and leave you now because we're going a bit strange. Yeah.
Okay.
See you all soon. See you next month. We're going to get back to our normal regime.
Back to the normal.
Bye.